Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I have Naz joining me, who is another Outschool teacher, and we are going to chat all about her teaching journey and how she successfully transitioned from classroom teaching to online teaching full-time. First, let's go ahead and have you introduce yourself, share with us a little bit about your experience as a classroom teacher and an online teacher.
So, hello, my name is Naz, or as my students like to call me, Miss Naz. I've been a teacher for about 8 years, and 5 of that has been abroad in Czech Republic, and that is where I discovered VIP Kid. It's kind of funny because I heard about it through a colleague's roommate. She was doing it, and so I thought, hey, let me try this thing, and it just opened a whole world to online teaching. So that's how I started with online teaching. And I transitioned back. I moved back to Canada and kind of did that and brick and mortar. And then that's before I fully transitioned into online teaching.
Okay, perfect. So I think you're similar to me where when you were a classroom teacher, you were doing classroom teaching and you were doing a little bit of like online teaching, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Those early morning
Yes.
classes. Yep.
I look back, I'm like, I don't even know how I did that, to be
I
honest.
know. It feels like a different life.
It does. Possible, but challenging for sure. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. So, like I know you said you were obviously a classroom teacher for a few years. When did you kind of decide that you wanted to try and leave classroom teaching and kind of transition to full-time teaching online?
Yeah, I would say that happened in March 2020.
Mm.
When the pandemic hit, it was a huge push for me to really look for something more. I didn't really like how the school system was running in terms of, dealing with COVID and how they were treating teachers. And I just felt so exhausted and overworked. And that is kind of where I was starting to hear this Outschool, this new platform where you could kind of teach different hours and charge your rates and choose your curriculum. And so I would say it was 100% the pandemic gave me that push to really go out of my comfort zone.
Mhm.
And in
Okay.
terms of hurdles, I would say it was really like that feeling of uncertainty, which we all felt with the pandemic, but on top of that, going into a brand new, platform and really not knowing where to start. And the idea of, am I able to create a lesson that is going to attract learners? It just felt very, very overwhelming and unknown to me, but it's definitely possible to overcome that. And yeah, I'm glad I did.
Yeah, that's awesome. Quick, like side question. Did you
Yeah.
start out school before you left, or did you apply, get started, and then leave like classroom teaching?
So I don't know how it was for you in terms of like where you are, how the schools were running, but we were kind of in and out in terms of like we were in and then they were like, no, we're closing. And then so during that time, it was giving me a little bit of time to kind of get my feet wet. So I did start a little bit before the end of the school year
Mhm.
and then really went full force during that break, that summer break.
Got it. See, I wasn't teaching at all during the pandemic. I left before pandemic, so
Wow.
that's not even like in my radar at all. That's good though that you still kind of, because I feel like I get that question a lot. People kind of trying to decide, should they just leave and then apply? Should they try to apply before they leave? And honestly, it's kind of a personal preference. I think you can do both. I always recommend trying to do it kind of like a side hustle for a little bit first, just to make sure you feel like it will work for you and then take that step. So,
For sure. Absolutely. And I think summer is coming. It's kind of that time where teachers have a little bit more time to
mhm.
themselves to try this little side gig and see if it's something that they enjoy, that they could see themselves growing
Yep, agree. I agree. That's kind of the best thing to do.
in.
Okay, awesome. So, good advice with like classroom teaching. Let's chat a little bit about Outschool. So, when you first started on Outschool, what were some things you kind of did to help you find success?
Yes. So, first and foremost, market research. So for me, that was my godson. It was a lot of conversations about what he enjoys, what does he like, what does he watch, and yes, that is a lot of like what is the trend and what is in for kids right now. But you have to ensure that when you do your market research, it has to align with what you enjoy teaching. It can't just be something that's trendy because kids will see right through that. If there's no joy and passion, they'll know. So I would say market research was the number one thing. And also just give it a try with one class. It doesn't have to be an ongoing class or like a camp or anything. Just start with one-time class. That's how I started. It was dinosaurs because I enjoyed dinosaurs and he was all into dinosaurs. So I was like, hey, let me see if, other learners are going to be into a dinosaur themed class. And, sure enough, it was very popular. And from there, I started to incorporate more academic concepts and still keeping that fun dinosaur theme, but, bringing that little bit of extra academic. So yeah, for sure. And also another fear that I feel many have is like, how am I going to create my own curriculum, especially if they're coming from ESL teaching where, a lot of the curriculum is created for them. And you can always reach out to there's the community on Instagram is amazing. So there's always help. Someone's there to help you, give you advice or insight. More than anything, a lot of teachers are looking to expand and they might be hiring. So there's a lot of opportunity for partnerships there too. So you're never alone.
Yes. Well, you said like so many good things there. I love your thing. I feel like every time I chat with another Outschool teacher, one of their top tips is always market research. So that is like huge. And I love the point actually you mentioned too, because I haven't heard that from too many, is asking like a child or a kid. So just their topics, just help them. They can give you so many ideas to brainstorm and then just go with it. Like you can't keep overthinking everything. You just have to put the class out there and see if it works. And I know my journey was kind of similar to yours, where I started with one-time classes. I kind of did more of like fun classes first to kind of get my feet wet. And then as I got some traction with those one-time classes, I started to make other types that were more academic. So
Yes.
yeah, that's exciting though. Good information. I feel like good tips. Yeah, so we can go to my next one. So I guess then my next question would be, if there's a new Outschool teacher who has started and maybe they're not finding as much success as they would like, do you have any tips for those kind of struggling with bookings or struggling getting like students?
I would say definitely stay consistent. This is by no means an overnight success overnight. Nothing happens overnight. So stay consistent. I know it seems hard, but trust me, every little class, every learner, one or two, is one pebble towards your pile or your big pile of, your goals. So just stay consistent. Open your schedule 2 weeks in advance because there's parents that are last minute. There's parents that are very, they like to have their schedule planned with the holidays coming in terms of like summer breaks and things like that. That is going to be super helpful. And also don't cancel until the very cancel once you log in and no one's there, because I've had full classes of learners who have booked 2 to 3 minutes before the start of the class. So just stick with your schedule as much as you can. And there are so many marketing tools on Outschool that nobody really uses or talks about, like the QR code and the coupon codes. There are so many ways you can make your listing attractive and kind of stand out. And speaking of listings, make sure it's updated and make sure you have a video intro, because that is how your the parents and the students or learners are going to connect with you. So it's a great way to really stand out.
Yep.
So that's what I would say for sure.
Yeah, and those are good. I feel like if you don't find success, which from the start, it's like, okay, you just have to keep trying. And there's always something else you can kind of do to try to make your profile better, try to make your class better, maybe a different class type. There's always some actionable thing you can do to try to get more bookings.
And there's also this like if you have a class that isn't, it's ongoing, this is very specific to ongoing classes. If you don't have a lot of learners within that ongoing class and it's been going for, X amount of weeks and you feel like, oh, it's stale or it's maybe I need to just close this and do something else, try reopening another time slot, like a brand new section, but the exact same time. And those brand new learners, because it's going to shoot you up on top of the search bar, and those brand new learners, you just transfer them into your existing
Mhm.
section. And then, that way I've gained a couple of extra learners that have boosted up my class sizes a little bit.
Nice. I've never tried that. That's an interesting one. Thanks.
Yeah.
I like that one. Okay. Well, thank you. I feel like there were a lot of like tips in such a short amount of time. Shared a lot of good stuff. I hope those of you watching took a little bit of notes. But I do want us to kind of conclude our chat here. If you would just share like your top 3 tips for new out school teachers or even teachers that are trying to transition from like classroom teaching to teaching online, what would be like your top 3 tips for them?
I would say that try to work from a template when it comes to your slides or even your worksheets if you can. So that way you have a plan. And basically, you're just revamping your content, your songs, your games, and you're not reinventing the wheel and starting from zero. And it's going to make your planning time go a lot more smoothly.
Mhm.
Secondly, is take good care of yourself mentally and physically. You cannot pour from an empty cup, so make sure that you're really taking time for yourself and set those boundaries to re-energize yourself during your time off so you can really enjoy your time but also give your best to your learners. And lastly is brain breaks. Brain breaks, depending on your age range, I think that it can be different. I teach the younger age group, and for us, it's a lot of dancing and freeze dances. But for older age groups, it could be like icebreaker games or would you rather type of games, which kind of just pulls them away from what you're doing for a little bit, 1 or 2 minutes, just to give them a little break and allow them to come back a lot more refreshed and a lot more focused. It's going to be more fun for them. It's going to be more fun for you. And it'll just make your class flow so much better.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that last one. That last one is actually good too for just getting familiar with your students or getting them to know
Yes.
you, like building those connections. We talk about that a lot as teachers, how important it is to build, and it's a little bit more challenging online, but that's a great tip to help even build connections with your students online.
Exactly. Yeah. I love that one.
Awesome. Well, thank you so, so much. I appreciate your time and you just sharing all these tips with us online.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Naz, for all of the great tips and value you shared with us today. I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to share that with us. Now, if you want to follow along her online teaching journey, I will leave her Instagram link down below. Now, if you found this video helpful, I would super appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up and you don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future interviews and other videos. Thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you in future videos.